So let's kick off. And you could pause there at any time to ask a question. Now, this is one of the reasons why we are driving this particular topic. The truth is, the only constant is change. I was in a panel discussion this morning, and we were looking at artificial intelligence. I mean, I have engaged with ChatGPT, and I'm sure some of us here have engaged with artificial intelligence. And one of the things we were discussing this morning in the panel was everybody shouting, wow, if you don't be careful, artificial intelligence will take your job. And there's an element of truth in that. But the reality is that everything is changing. Everything is changing. And so one of the things is that everybody must adopt an evolving mindset. I learned, I'm even really still learning some things about using artificial intelligence. And currently I'm reading up and studying something called prompt engineering. And prompt engineering is a form of artificial intelligence. It's like you put a bit of a code into the AI and you are looking for certain specifics. And one of the things we left off today, and that's why we're in this class, and that's why I know that political skills is critical. One of the things we agreed is that, you see, artificial intelligence would not take the place of human relationships. Artificial intelligence will not take the place of human relationships, but artificial intelligence is going to change the landscape. And so one of the things I would like to state here is that, number one, whatever got you to where you are today is no longer sufficient to keep you there. The truth is that everything is transforming, everything is changing. I was in a strategy meeting with, also they play the manufacturing sector. And I gave a scenario of a particular company. It's in the fast moving goods sector. And currently their sales are going down. Their market share is going down. However, in that same sector, another company is going to that same sector. Another company is growing and currently going into Ghana markets. Like if you look at the classic case, take a classic case of Unilever. Unilever brought out something and said they were closing down production of Omo, Sunlight, and all of that. And it got me thinking, because if you go to the Lekki Free Trade Zone, you see Bua, and they're setting up a large detergent factory there. So one thing is that, you see, what got you to where you are today is no longer, the key word is sufficient to keep you there. And that's why as organizations, you must constantly keep prospecting. Never get satisfied with your market share. Number two is that a good tactical plan is only as good as the strategy that came before it. And that's why it has to keep evolving. It has to keep evolving. And number three, I said, you can succeed in today's sales environment only if you know what you are doing and why. I mean, someone asked me a question. I mean, you are busy, your team is busy. Why are you doing a free webinar? And I told the person, I said, look, number one, just answers what I said in premise one. I said, as a company, we've sat down, we've looked at where we've played, we've looked at what are the things and the areas we're going into. And we're like, look, we need to keep gaining mind share. So the essence of this webinar is for us to provide a platform for us, despite how busy our schedule is to keep gaining a mind share. So why am I saying this? One of the things I always, when we talk with sales managers that manage sales team, we ask them this question: do your people know why they are doing what they are doing? Do they know why you're telling them to make those calls? Do they know why you insist on A, B, C? I mean, I was sitting, we did something for the management team of a bank. And I said, as a bank manager, you can't keep shouting, I don't want to see anybody in the office, hit the street, day one, hit the street, day two, hit the street, day three. I said, by day four, there'll be nobody in the office. Why? All of them might have been kidnapped because they're just hitting different aspects of the street. Have you told them why they need to hit the streets? So one of the things is that for us to succeed, we must answer the question why. I know quite a lot of us are from a particular company. The key question is why. Why are we offering the service we are offering? Why are we engaging this particular client? So that has to be at our back of mind. So these are just food for thought. And the second thing I would just like to state here is this: why are we looking at political skills? What you have is something called the relationship life cycle. You see, in every business, in every clientele, you are either in these 5 positions. The lowest level is a stranger. So when you make a cold call, you're talking as a stranger. Another thing is, oh yes, we've done some business. I've had, and this for us has helped us as an organization. Some people, when we plan our year, we analyze different accounts. We analyze different individual engagements we have, and we ask ourselves, where are we? Where do we want to become? And this I can tell you for a fact. The last 2 places are where you can have guaranteed revenue, year in, year out, change of government, new government, old government. Why? A trusted advisor and being a strategic ally. For us as an organization, one of the things that has helped us go, build referral. You see, the truth is this: by the time you are a strategic ally, referrals come. So you must, and that's the essence of why you're developing political skills. How do you move from a stranger? I mean, I sat down one day to analyze an account, and I was like, wow, we've done business with these guys year in, year out for 5 years. Currently now, we're at that position where they will just be like, oh, this is our team for the year. What do you have? And sometimes we sit together, we plan the year. Why? We become a strategic ally, but we started off as a stranger. So that's the essence of political skills. So why am I saying this? One of the things for everyone on this platform, and this is why I believe, is that it's not just for you to listen. It's also for you to ask yourself, what am I going to do? The seminar we attended in the panel today, that was what I left off with. I said, Briggs, AI would not take the place of human relationship. So far, and I wrote down certain things we need to do as a firm and also as an individual. So you must have this at the back of your mind. Some of us have a call list. Some of us have different accounts. In each of the accounts, where are you from? And this is, you see, I always tell somebody, have what I call a brutal evaluation. A brutal evaluation. What is a brutal evaluation? A brutal evaluation is where somebody says, oh, we are the desired company. However, in that company, you're a stranger. What does that mean? The only reason they are doing business with you is because of somebody. And once that person leaves his alignment with you, they are not going to do it. Meanwhile, you just see them and you just believe, oh, we are their desired supplier. So you must have a brutal evaluation. Look at the different accounts and ask yourself, where are we? Where are we? Where are we? Where should we be? And what are the things we need to do? So that's the essence of developing a political skill. Now, for us, what are we going to talk about today? I'll try and wrap this up in 30 minutes. And 3 things I just want to talk about is, number 1 is, how do you apply being politically savvy to sales engagements? How do you cover your bases? You know, in sales, there are different sets of stakeholders, influencers, decision makers. How do you cover your bases across board? And also, one thing I believe is key, which is the act of storytelling. Because, and I will explain why. How do you engage people? I remember we went for a dinner, and when we got to that dinner, they were the guests. You know, sometimes this dinner, they give what they call a kind of a cocktail. So dinner wasn't ready, but there was music playing, and so people were just outside the dinner hall having cocktail. And what did I notice? Different sets of engagements. A minister was there, bank MD, you know, and so you were gravitating from one person to another. But what was happening? Stories were being told. So if you are not a storyteller, you might not be an effective salesperson, because it's stories that helps. There's something in stories we call the hook. It's the thing that helps. So if you just come and just talk about your organization and all of that, if you don't weave it, and I will try to explain why, because sometimes you see salespeople struggle with building rapport. When you talk with, in the banks, you call them HNIs. HNIs are high net worth individuals. You see, their concentration span is small. And my experience in dealing with them is that they like to sometimes own the conversation. So what you must do is you must learn to bring in insights. So you drop insights, they own it, you drop insights, and that's how you engage them. I've seen people make a mistake talking with HNIs and trying to teach them. So we'll look briefly at that. So like I said, 30 minutes, thank you. So at any point, please, if you raise your hand or if you put in the chat box, we will try to address your question. Okay, so yeah, so as we go into how do we apply political survey to sales engagement? Now, the truth is that selling is politics. No matter how you look at it, why? Because you're dealing with human beings. And I have seen deals won, deals lost, because people don't look at the political side. And that's why someone said something. He said, to successfully handle complex sales situations today, salespeople have to navigate many corporate mazes. And it's not just a Nigeria thing. I have a friend of mine, he's based in the UK. And so once he was in Nigeria and we're talking, and Eric said something. Eric said, Briggs, how's your pipeline? I said, fine. I said, well, yeah. I said, where are you expecting commissions? And I said, yeah, if I get this once, I should get commission. He said, I hope you haven't spent the commission money. I said, why? And he narrated a funny story to me. You know, in the UK, you have offices, and downstairs, most times you have the bars. You know, so from the offices, you come down, you're entering a pub. And he said there was this deal they had closed, a shot. They were only waiting for the announcement. So each person, so they said they just closed on a Friday and they went to the pub and they were having a nice time, expecting to get the order letter by Monday. This Eric works in an IT firm, so it was an enterprise solution they were selling. He said that by Monday, they called the people and their contact person says like certain things have shifted. He will get back to them tomorrow. By tomorrow, the company announced and they gave the business to another their competitor. You know what happened? By Friday, Eric's and the team, every presentation, financial and everything was fine. So Eric and his team were sitting in the pub on Fleet Street having a drink. Guess what the MD of the other company did? He called the MD of this company that wanted the enterprise solution, and they went to play golf on Saturday. By Saturday to Sunday, the deal swung and they won the deal. And that's why, as for you to be a successful salesperson, you must stop being linear in how you perceive things. You must stop being, you know, there's something called that tunnel view. You should not have a tunnel view. You need to have a holistic 360-degree view, looking at the multiple decisions, the decision makers, and the multiplied interest. I'll talk a bit about that when I come to covering your basis. I remember the classic case. This happened a couple of years ago. One of the states in the Southeast, they were trying to get a major account. This was one bank, and one bank was going through the chief of staff. In short, everything was okay. Somebody in the chief of staff office mentioned it to a relative in another bank. Guess what the other bank did? While this bank, and funny enough, the chief of staff was related to the governor. But guess what this other bank did? They went to meet the governor's mother. True life story. And that's how the deal swung. So from a company that had, and that's why in our office, one of the things we say, efforts are acknowledged, only results are rewarded. Efforts are acknowledged, only results are rewarded. So you must look at what are the decisions, where are the different decisions being made, who are the decision makers, what are the interests on the table. So it's very, very key. Now, somebody gave a definition. I've looked at different definitions for political skill, and this one resonates with me. Two professors in the University of Wales. And they describe it as one's ability to understand and navigate the interpersonal fabrics. So within organizations. Why? Because you see, in every organization, even in your organization, one thing is clear. Every organization has a formal organogram and an informal organogram. In one organization, they say basis of power, and it's the truth. So for you to understand what is political skill is having that understanding of the interpersonal fabric or relationships. So the formal organogram, the informal organogram, how they engage, how they interrelate, and all that. And also they said combining 3 key words: persuasion, negotiation, and coalition building. For us, one of the things I tell them, I said, look, when you are pestering people, you are not being persuasive. I should repeat it. When you are pestering people, you are not being persuasive. Because you see, and that's why I tell people, I've learned that sometimes follow-up is critical. But when you pester, you become a pest. So, I mean, you call somebody, the person doesn't feel desperation. You're not being persuasive, you're being a pest. So you must ask yourself, I mean, somebody got me linked with the MD of a manufacturing company. I said, oh, I think you need to talk to my MD. And so what did I do? And the person was like, have you called my MD? And I said, no. And the person was like, why? I said, well, we haven't thought of why. What do I tell your MD? I can't just rush in and tell your MD and start introducing myself. I said, no, I wouldn't do that because I knew I had to be persuasive. So one day, I mean, this company, it's in Lagos. One day I was driving into town and I saw their billboard and I got this idea. I sat down and I constructed an email. My email had competitive analysis and some of the things they were doing which they should improve on. I sent this mail on Tuesday. By Wednesday afternoon, the MD had sent me a WhatsApp chat. Thank you for the email you sent. I'm going to call you tomorrow. Why? So it's not, you must be persuasive, meaning that what is the emotional connection? What facts do I have? What insights do I have? So yes, sometimes there is work pressure. And in that work pressure, you're following up. And that's why we say activity does not equate to results. You must find out what gives results and work from that. So if now my contact has said, call the MD, I'll have sent a WhatsApp chat that the MD might not have replied. But now I had gotten facts, insights. The MD replied within 24 hours. So they said, combining persuasion. How persuasive are you? Negotiation. Why? Because you see, I don't have that video here. I could have played it, but it was one video that when I saw it, it talked about, because I mean, I'm doing my product management certification. And sometimes when you want to bring out a new product, you are so excited. Oh, this product will wow the market, is what the market needs. And when the product comes in, it just falls face flat. And that's why you must know how to negotiate. I mean, I have seen companies that I say, these companies, they are doing well. And man, they are penny pinchers. So you must know how to negotiate. And what's the other thing? Coalition building. You know why I like this word, coalition? You see, coalition means a network of people not necessarily sharing the same values, but pursuing the same interest. I should define it again. Coalition is a network of people not necessarily having the same values, but pursuing the same interests. So you see that coalition building is different from networking, which is like for like. So in coalition building, you are building a network with different sets of people. And that's why certain times people struggle because there's a gap in their network. I mean, for me, one day I was somewhere and I was speaking Yoruba And from my name is Briggs, so I'm from River State. And the person said, Briggs, you speak Yoruba? I said, when I'm talking to my mechanic. And the lady laughed. Yes, because if I was going to speak English. But you see, my mechanic is on my speed dial. So I have a mechanic. I have Malam Gabriel, who is my FX Aboki guy. You know, so that's the way it is. So for you, so ask yourself, because and that's the mistake people do at times when they are dealing with an organization. They are not building coalition. They just want to know Oga MD. And so he said, salespeople who have political skills, they combine persuasion, they combine negotiation and coalition building. And I said this politically skilled salesperson is able to build interpersonal effectiveness and social capital. Why? To promote positive outcomes. Like most times as an organization, every time you cannot be asking. What are you giving? You can't be asking. What are you giving? Because that is how, when there's a balance between your asking and your giving, you are building social capital. And that's why it promotes outcomes with both internal and external clients. Now, sometimes salespeople are very good externally, but very poor internally. I mean, salespeople are loved outside and hated inside. So you need to strike the balance. So if you feel that, oh, I'm getting results, I have seen salespeople who got results, got promoted, and were fired. Because when they got promoted, they gave them a team. They couldn't manage the team, and they had to be fired. So this is the definition. I don't know if anybody has any question, but I hope it's making sense. If you have any question, please, you could just put it in the chat, or you could please just raise your hand and I'll try to address it. Now, this is, I can't talk much. Wow, okay. Normally when we do this class, we have an assessment, and they say that this is the political skill competency framework, which is social astuteness. What is social astuteness? Your ability to understand, to study people. You know, as a salesperson, one of the things is you must be composed. It's not a question of you that you are knowledgeable, you want to share your knowledge. You must understand, you must watch people. I mean, today I went somewhere, I was meeting this person for the first time, and somebody was like, oh, how's this person? I said, well, from what I saw, ABC. I mean, I just observed this person for less than 5 minutes. I didn't talk with her, but she was talking with some people and all of that, and I just observed. So you must, and that's one of the key things that is required. You must be observant. And that's the thing about interpersonal influence. You see, one of the things my former boss taught me on the phone, because I've done telemarketing before, he said, Briggs, you can slap anybody on the phone. He said, look, Briggs, sometimes the people you call can buy you. The people you call at times are older than you. The people you call at times are more experienced than you. He said, but if on the phone, you make them know that fact, they won't respond to you. Why? Because you see, in Nigeria, we have a culture of hierarchy. So senior level want to deal with senior level. So if I'm on the phone as a mid-level, junior level staff, and I'm calling a C-level person, and the person does not perceive me as a C-level person, I may not get the kind of response I want. So for you to be political, it talks about interpersonal influence, which is the way, yes, some people call it packaging, but I say, no, don't over-package yourself so that you start living in self-deceit, because there's a place of packaging. Perception is reality. So there's a way and mannerism that's, oh, how are you, sir? Well, my name is Briggs. I'm calling from Sales Initiative Network. We're a sales advisory company, and I've done some background research. I said, currently we find out that you're working in the fintech company, and I'm sure we had looked at your I must talk with insights. So interpersonal influence, your ability to network, meaning that you must be a people person. You must like people. If you don't like people, we don't have time. I was doing something for a pension company recently, and I had to show them a model about networking, So you must develop networking abilities. Now, this part is key. You must think before speaking. You see, I always tell people there's a reason God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, meaning that we must listen more and speak less. So you must, why do you need to think before speaking? Is that you see, words once said cannot be reversed. So when you say something, you can't pull it back. It's not going to come back the same way. So you must be careful. I mean, we don't have time. There's a model called nonviolent communication, which looks at, before we say certain things, number 1, we observe. Number 2, we look at the feelings. What's the feeling? If I say this, what kind of feeling is it going to trigger? Number 3 is a situational analysis. And number 4 is my request. And my requests are clear. So you must think before you speak. Also, for political skills, you must develop the skill to manage up, which ties in a bit to interpersonal influence. You see, why? Because you see, even your MD has people they report to. A board chairman also has someone else they are looking up to. And so I have seen that everybody that I've seen that have political skill, they know that ability to manage up. And what's the voice? You see, one thing I've learned is that what's the language of management? Loyalty. So for you to manage up, you must exhibit some level of loyalty. I mean, as a company, we have promoters. And so what do I do? How do I manage up with them? Oh, the people we target as promoters, oh, we are loyal to them. Oh, they are from a different political views. We see how we manage it. But you see, it's critical for you to manage up. So the way you manage your colleagues and subordinates is not the same way you manage up. And it's a key component of political skill. And now this part is debatable because we're looking at political skill. And political skill is like a bit of a gray area. And I put there apparent sincerity. So the truth is, someone said once, oh, Mr. Briggs, these days we marry makeup. And so what is makeup? Makeup is a facade. But there is a way you present yourself. And people are like, okay, I can trust him. I haven't met him. I never forgot, I have a very good friend of mine in Ghana. And so when I was in Ghana, I was in their office, and they took me to her boss. They work in an oil and gas firm. And so we're talking, I said, oh, meet Briggs and all that. And the guy was like, oh, we're just gisting. And the guy said, oh, how did you get to know Briggs? And she said, oh, we met on LinkedIn. And it was like LinkedIn, because he couldn't just believe. Now, why? Certain things she said, because not every time I go to Ghana, I go and see everybody. But the truth is that there's a way, and that part is this: can we trust you? That's why apparent sincerity. So whenever you talk, and every time you talk, all the boxes are ticked off. It looks as if, this company doesn't have a flaw. What you're doing is that you're berating your trust, because there are certain times there could be service failures. There are certain times you drop the ball, but the ability to say, for today and this webinar, currently our phone line is down. And we've gotten some messages, but the phone is blanked out, screen. And my colleague is like, what do we do? What do we do? Do we go ahead? We're supposed to. I said, well, we still have to go ahead. So we're putting it out on another platform, but what am I saying? Oh, we had a flaw here. We didn't get it right here, but this is what we did. Apparent sincerity, it's key. So so why did I put this here? Normally we work with frameworks, is to ask yourself, oh, among the 6, where do I need to improve? What will be my score 1/10 across board, and all of that? Where do I need help and all that? That's the essence. Now, this is what I call political savvy. Everyone on the platform knows. I mean, his level of political skill it's there. And he said something which I always share. I mean, this was in an international magazine. He said, I'm a friend with any government in power. I am an entrepreneur. And as a businessman, you should have friends from all the places. We don't take sides. The success of my business is affected by the stability of government. So when you look at the pictures, I mean, Dangote's highest title was given to him by the past administration. The other picture there is a picture that was taken 48 hours after the former president agreed to accept the results of the election. So if you look at this statement, you can see that Dangote works with all of this, understands people, interpersonal influence, the ability to network. I have friends across board. He thinks before he speaks, managing up. Because when you look at the picture here, it's like everybody here is, I mean, he said something, the success of my business is affected by the stability of government. So he has to manage government people. Because you see, one thing in Nigeria, Dangote refinery, it just takes a 3-line memo and that refinery will stop work. A 3-line memo, what is that? Statement one, oh, it failed environmental impact assessment. Therefore, stop. I mean, 3 lines, less than 3 lines. So he knows this fact, so he manages up. So the key question is, are you politically savvy? Are you thinking as an entrepreneur? Do you have friends, which I talked, and that's what the prof talked about, coalition building. Okay, so the next thing is covering the bases. I have 10 minutes, less than 6 minutes. So I'll just run and see what I can do. And it's very key. So now, before you can cover the bases, you must understand certain things. I always say you must map your political arena. Are you into B2B? B2B is business to business. You see, and part of most of what I'm sharing is more related to B2B. But you see, are you B2C? What is B2C? Business to consumer. Most times, you see, certain times, because I'm selling something that looks like a retail product, the truth is actually it's a B2B2C, meaning that I am selling health insurance to an individual, but it's actually to a company, but I'm engaging an individual. So I must know that there are influencers, there are decision makers, or am I dealing with government? You know, and that's why I put it there, B2G. It's a different playing field. We don't have time, so I won't bother too much. But you see, one thing that helped me in my career was, because I started my career more from e-payments, was that I got to learn that government is the biggest spender. And so I have seen that every big organization in Nigeria has an aspect of government business, because government is the biggest spender. So it's part of it. But when you deal with government, we don't have time. But you see, when you deal with government, what is government known for? Relationships. It's face-to-face. It's not an email thing in Nigeria. Now, let me just talk a bit about B2C, then I'll deal more with B2B. Now, in B2C, who are the people? Because you see, B2B is, I have a product, I put it in the market, but it doesn't work that way. Who are the influencers? I mean, I sat down with a company in Onitsha, and we're trying to penetrate a state, and we had to do a mapping. Number one, who was the key distributor? What's the level of our engagement to him? How do we use him to penetrate the state? I mean, we had to come up with all of that. Now, why am I saying this? It ties to the first thing, one of the first things I said. There's a corporate maze, and you must not have a tunnel vision. So one thing I've seen, I mean, we did a mystery shopping for a company that is into renewable energy. So they had this beautiful fan products. And so we went to this shop, one of the big supermarkets, and we looked around because we told them, where are your products? Because we had looked at the sales figure, and one of their main channels is using, they call them channel partners, and they are selling through supermarkets and all that. So we had looked at the figures and we mapped out places where we believe that they should have higher volumes there. So we went to this particular, one of the big supermarkets, and we called one gentleman who was in that area where they put technical stuff. I said, oh, we're looking for this fan. And the man just pointed and said, oh, that one, oh, do you still have it in stock? The guy said his response wasn't too, he said, yes, I'm sure, check. And guess where we saw it? We saw it stacked up at the back, just at a corner. It was stacked up, but really display was very low. So how will people see it? So we put that in our reports. And guess what? And they told us that, yes, we're having challenge with our supermarkets. The merchandisers, they're asking, and that's the truth, it's Nigeria. So they're asking for some incentives. And so we had to discuss it, came up with a plan and all of that. Now, the truth is that their sales figures were coming down in that supermarket, not because their product is not there, not because the MD did not put the product, but because of a low-level staff who believes he needs incentives and must be motivated. That is why we're looking at political skills, which is for you to begin to see who are the players involved. And now when it comes to a bit of B2B, and now let me say this, even in a market scenario, for you to penetrate a market in Nigeria, in Lagos, you need an Iyaloja. You need them to penetrate. So the Iyaloja is not going to sell your product, but the Iyaloja is critical for penetration. So, and it's not you just go and have a discussion. That's what I mean. That's what is called mapping your political arena. Now, when it comes to a bit of B2B, and sometimes this plays in, there are people we call the economic buyer. They are the user buyers, they are the technical buyers, and there's something called a coach. What has helped me in my career in sales is that person called the coach. Because as a company, there's a slogan we have. Before we go in for an account, 2 questions we ask. Can we win? Is there an opportunity? Can we win? And a coach helps us to win. So why do I say this? There's a company called Starcoms, and they said, we speak your language. We speak your language, and meaning that when you're talking with certain people, you must speak their language. When you're dealing with an economic buyer, when you're dealing with who are going to use the product, who are the people that screen, like in your company, who are the people that will screen a Mr. Briggs? Maybe procurement, audit, finance people. Who is a coach? The person who helps me navigate. So you must understand this in what you are selling. So you can't have the same conversation you have with an economic buyer with somebody in a user buyer. I mean, I've lost opportunities because I didn't change the way I was communicating. Okay, let me come here. Let me just give an idea of who these people are. The economic buyer, we all know, he has a veto power. He signs the check. He says yes. He says deal. The user buyer are the people that are going to use trying to get your health insurance and all that. The technical buyer are the guys in procurement, audit. They're the ones that screen. They're the panel or the committee that recommends. Now, who is a coach? And this is where, you see, I've come to learn something. For us as a company, we build a referral system. And one of the things I always tell people, once you have a referral, it cuts the sales cycle by almost 60%. And that's why for you to be successful, developing your political skills and building coalition. Because what does a coach do for me? They help me navigate. Oh, this is our challenge. Oh, you're meeting this person. This guy, he doesn't like, our finance guys, they don't like to spend money. You must tell them why they must spend this money. So don't just tell them this is the cost. Break it down. He guides you. So that's a critical thing. So currently maybe you're in an engagement with a company. Have you identified these 4 sets of people? Or who is your coach? Who is your backbone, or who is the person providing you support? Who is the person that wants you to win that business? And so I put this here as, what are the kinds of questions they ask? Why is this very important? I mean, there's a client we have, and they had a competition. And they told us that their competition, and because you see, political skill is real. And so you must have strategies. And they told us that they lost a business because the other company bought cars for the board of this other, they are one of their key accounts. And I was like, wow. I said, how much do you think they will have spent buying cars? And we looked at it, they bought like 3 cars and all of that, spent like, was it how much? The lady said 180 million. I said, what's the value of the business we are looking at? And she said 4.5 billion. I said, that's the reality you face. That's the reality you face. And so organizations, and that's why building political skills are key, because different organizations have different value systems, but you are all in that sector. And so an economic buyer is more about ROI, return on investment. Why should I choose you? Because if you see sometimes when you play in a regulated market, differentiation is very minimal. Everybody's offering the same thing, but the impact is different. So when talking with those kinds of economic buyers, you are talking in terms of figures on impact, on bottom line. You're not talking about the process. Okay, if you sign up with us, this is how it goes. That person, you see, decision makers have a very low concentration timeline span. So if you cannot tell a decision maker in 30 seconds why he should see you, you've wasted their time. They're not there for chit-chatting. They're very busy people. So you must be crystal clear in your head. How is this thing going to be impactful to them? What is the return on investment for them? Now, meanwhile, for the user buyers, they're looking at convenience, ease of doing business. Are you easy to do business with? They don't like stress. They're not the ones paying for it, but they don't like stress. Don't send them a 7-page form to fill. Because when you do one, they say, no, these guys, sir, these people, their processes are not good. So you see, at times, people lose retainership, not because of the economic buyer, but because of the user buyer. Now, the same way is when sometimes some of the jobs we do are based on RFP, request for proposals. So you must ensure there's an alignment. But your coach, and that's why your coach is somebody you must keep in touch. You must manage, you must carry so that they give you insights. So each of them speak things. Now, what are the things in covering your base? Across these 4 sets of people, or 3 sets mainly, where you must build credibility. What is credibility? Who is associated with your brand? What information do you have? What is the experience you have? How have you packaged your presentation? Because this 4 helps them to trust you. I went once to an organization, first time. And I got there and I just said 2 basic things happening in the industry, where the industry is going to, and things we had done in that space. So in less than 3-4 minutes, I had captured these 4 things and questions started. I just said, sorry, I know, thank you for this meeting. I know we're very busy people, and so I'm just going to go straight to the point. And that was it. And questions started coming. 4 minutes presentation. One thing I've learned about presentation, nobody complains when you end on time, which is what I want to do. Nobody complains when you end on time. So in covering your basis, this is one thing that will help you. I won't have the time to talk about it. You must learn to improve your likability. People must like you. You see, for anybody to do business with you, they must like you and they must trust you. And these are things that you can do to build your likability. You know, these are all of them: sense of humor, not being judgmental, think collaboratively, being helpful, being flexible. I mean, I got to a client once and the guy was like, I mean, this is one of the big IOC, international oil companies. They wanted to do a program a day before they shifted it. Oh, this. They said, oh, it was only 16. They improved the number to 21. You know, and I said, no problem. And this. And I remember when I got there and when I were being introduced, and she said, well, we need to I want to appreciate Sales Initiative Network for managing our turbulence. That's how she said. And from one program, we got 3. Likability. How liked are you? Okay, I don't have too much time, but I'll just say something about storytelling. We must tell stories. Why? It can increase revenue. Now, why do we tell stories? I'll just talk about this and I'll just show a chart and we'll ask questions. You see, when you're telling a story, there's something that comes up in the brain. The brain, it captures attention because there's a connection to a story. So when you share a story of, oh, wow, why do you need this health insurance? And there's a story behind it. A gentleman, his wife was pregnant and all of that. Oh, so she went into sudden labor. And by the time she got there, they said she had to do a CS. If not that, it was unexpected. It was like the doctor said, based on this condition, we had to do a CS. Now, if you are telling this story to a lady, the lady can connect. But if you just say, oh, yes, we do health insurance, our health insurance package covers in terms of maternity and all that, you're just giving facts. But when you put it in a story, and that's where mirroring comes. Mirroring is the woman you're talking to can relate. If she had had children before, and maybe she had it through a CS, she can relate to what you're saying. That's why we tell stories, mirroring. Now, there's an enzyme, dopamine, that is brought in, meaning that when you tell stories, the way the brain puts it, secretes it, it creates what I call eager. It creates an impression of what you said. Like now, in that same story, the story is that I'm selling health insurance, and I was saying that our health insurance covers antenatal care. But the brain remembers the story of, yes, so somebody can have an emergency, and instead of having natural birth, has to do a CS. And it also helped the cortex, which is the ability to process. So when you relate that story, what happens is the person says, I like this HMO. So it's not just, wow, they are practical, we can believe them, because the brain begins to process the facts. So you are telling a story, but the brain begins to separate facts and says, yo, this insight and all of that. That is why storytelling is. And so in a nutshell, what is your company history? What have you achieved? What are the success stories you have? How have you managed? One of the things people complain of HMOs, is that, oh, I would like my HMO to remind me that I have a doctor's appointment. So if there are areas that have been a challenging situation, how have you solved it? These are the things you weave into a story. Okay. I don't know if we have any questions. Any questions? Questions. I can't look at the other platform, but I hope this short time was worth your while. Please, questions. Any questions? Okay, comments. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate your presence. Short, I've learned a lot. Now, you talked about a particular issue where after the very good presentation, but they went to drink instead of doing an extra relationship thing. I think, what if there's the situation where, because for those who met at the what is it called? At the golf and discuss those issues. Probably the person who did that presentation is not a golf member and doesn't have that finance. So what do we do, sir? What extent? Yes, sir. Thank you very much. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, thank you so much. You see, I've been where you are. And I'm like, I'm dealing with this. And that's why you're reporting. Please, in organizations, we have reports. One of the things I tell my team, I can't show you, I don't have it here in front of me, but I've shown you how we do our reports. We believe in sales pipeline management. And when you go for an engagement, there is what we call status updates and suggestion. And when you send it in, we sit and we look at it. It's like, this is where we are, and this is what I perceive. Now, the truth is this, the key decision maker, and this was the flaw they made. Let me explain, let me come here. What happened in that deal is that they did not cover the economic buyer in that deal. It was who was following up this guy. I mean, Eric and his team had dealt with the guys in procurement. You know, that's how it is, you know. The guys have said, oh, it's you we want to work with. I don't know if you catch. You are the HMO we want to work with. But the truth is that that decision does not lie with them. So what do you do is that you ask yourself, who is managing their MD? Sir, this deal, I'll give you a classic case. You know, I do with government. And so once in a while, I have to be in Abuja. And sometimes we're in a meeting and I'm listening to this person and I ask myself, Mr. Briggs, where are you with this person? I'm a stranger. This person comes from Bauchi State. Mr. Briggs, you come from River State. You are a stranger. So how do I convince this person? I finish that meeting, I go sit down with an associate who is from Jigawa or another person who I know from Gombe. I say, look, go and talk to this your brother on my behalf. And so the person picks up the phone and calls and says, oh, my brother came to see you. And he says, your brother, who is that? Briggs. Oh, Briggs, no, Briggs, your brother, yes. Now, what have I done? I have covered my base. So you see, sir, that aspect of going to a Koyi club, IBB Polo club, I don't know the club in Enugu, truth is that that's not for you. That's for you to suggest to management and say, look, sir, this is because in my office, I'm like, what is the value of this transaction? There's a lady, Cecilia Ibru. Cecilia Ibru of Oceanic Bank. Cecilia Ibru had a skill of closing. So basically what Oceanic Bank staff did was to go and get appointments. And she gets there. Kano, close. Kaduna, close. Benin, close. She's a closer. But what do? They can chase an opportunity for 3 months just for her to close. So you see, and that's why you must understand, there are certain businesses you can't close at your level. So you must know how to escalate it. And that's why the mistake some of us do, you know, I talked something about managing up. I said something about managing up here. Sometimes you are just starting an initiation of a business and you are telling your MD or the group head to follow you for that meeting. What you have done is that you have, sorry to use the word, you have rubbished their level. Because at their level, they are not supposed to come for initiation. They are supposed to come for graduation. They don't go for matriculation. So the mistake most of us do in managing up, you bring your boss into a meeting that is just starting. And so when you see, because you see your boss is like a joker. So you must know when to present them into the deal because there are certain deals you can close at your level. So it's for you to know how to, and that's why in managing up, there's something called keep in the picture. You see, let me tell you something about managing up. Feedback is mandatory for your boss. It is not an obligation. Your boss does not ask you what happened in this meeting because feedback is mandatory. Most times we say we forget, we skip it and all of that. But you see, when you give feedback, what you're doing is that you're keeping your boss in the picture. So now, you didn't tell your boss anything about this business. You wanted to surprise your boss. Oh, I'm bringing in money. Now you get to a snag. You now said, sir, this customer, they have huge potentials. And sir, we don't know if you can, you're a member of Ikoyi Club. And I know want to set up a meeting and your boss will be like, look, I'm busy. and you're like, my boss is not willing to help me. You are not managing up properly. Sorry, sir. I don't know if that answers your question. Was it Chukuma?
Yes, I understand. I understand now because there's a certain level in which you need to introduce your boss. Yeah. You know, probably at the point, if you have had a meeting with the MD or the person who makes the final decision regarding the business, I think that's when you can now bring in your boss to now talk to that person.
Exactly. So you see, and don't, for me, what I want to do, and you see, the way you present your boss is key. And this is why you tell you, because you see, when you go to the office, let me tell you something, deals are not closed in the office. Deals are closed in informal places. The office is just an official address. So if you now say, sir, you're very busy, I don't know, maybe if my boss can meet you up later in the evening. Why? Because you want your boss to meet the person in a relaxed atmosphere. And the person is like, okay, yes. I don't know if it's Lagos, if it's, and sometimes, well, it depends on your budget. You just mention one place in Atlantic City, Black Pearl. I says, okay, fine. You can have a drink there. Or there's this place near Landmark Beach. What's that place? Help me. Lagos people, help me. There's this place near something box. Help me. Who is that place? Chat, put it in the chat box. We are salespeople here, the salespeople in Lagos. There's this joint close to Landmark. I'm not seeing any name in the chat box. Chukuma, our salespeople, don't they go out?
They do, sir. They do.
Yeah. So I want that. There's this place. It just came up. It's like 4 or 5 months old. It's close to Landmark Beach. That's something box. I just keep my mind.
In Lagos or in Enugu? You know I'm in Enugu.
Oh, yeah, in Enugu. This is in Lagos.
Yes,
There's in Lagos. You should know this place now. Okay, no problem. But there's a good joint there. You know, just go for a drink there. So Chukuma in Enugu, you know, there are also places there.
Yes, sir.
And all that. Thank you so much. Sorry, any other question? Any other question? Wow, this one. For those on Facebook, we'll try to address your questions later. Any other questions? Okay. So I hope it was worth your while. Well, like I said, these are the next coming training programs we have. 25th and 26th, clients, B2B client engagement. So thank you, everyone. Well, these are my contact details. And well, we'll keep in touch. Tinuke, thank you so much. You've been one supporter. Sorry for the late invitation. We were like, should we? And my team, thank you, Lara. Thank you for the support. And my team was like, let's do it and know that we've kept our word. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the evening. I wish you success in your career. I thank the MD of HCI. Thank you for the opportunity. Chukuma, I'm sure I think I'm in Enugu within the next couple of weeks. Definitely. I
would love to see you, Sam. I'm already taking your phone number, sir.
No problem. I know I'm coming to Enugu soon. Yeah, thank you so much. So please enjoy the rest of the evening. Adelawa, thank you so much. Adelawa is a good friend. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Yeah.